Well, viewers, first up now, Karnataka Congress's performance in the Lok Sabha elections has caused a few leaders to question the party's tactics and the poll promises. Congress's candidate for Mysuru Kodagu Lok Sabha constituency, M Lakshamana, has gone public with his criticism of the Congress guarantees and whether it has actually worked for them. He has urged the Chief Minister to really reconsider, reassess the state's 5 guarantee schemes, raising concerns over the recent electoral shift towards the BJP. Let's listen to what he said.
ಬಿಜೆಪಿಯವರು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಜನಗಳನ್ನ ಸೋಂಬೇರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನು ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಬಲವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಈ ಚುನಾವಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮನೆ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮನವಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೀಲುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್. Because people have mandated, given mandate against that.
Meanwhile, another Congress MLA and leader from Magadi, H.C. Balakrishna, also went on to say that, well, the Congress guarantees probably have not worked and the people of Karnataka have rejected the guarantee model of the party and the leadership should analyze whether the guarantees really help them or not. Let's listen.
ಅಸ್ತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಚುನಾವಣೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಅದು ಕೈ ಹಿಡಿದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ವಿರೋಧಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಆ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳಿಂದ ಏನು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಈಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಪರಾಮರ್ಶೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಪಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಒಂದು ಪಟ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಖಂಡರು.
Meanwhile, Congress's India bloc allies have maintained that it's the elected government's responsibility really to fulfill its promises because the BJP never does so.
सरकारें जो वादे करती हैं उन वादों को निभाना चाहिए. ये समाजवादी पार्टी और जो गठबंधन के हमारे साथी हैं उनकी परंपरा रही है. हमने जो वादे किए हैं उन वादों को निभाया है. भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने जो वादे किए हैं, जो झूठे वादे किए हैं 2014 से लेके आज तक, उन किसी एक वादे को भी पूरा नहीं किया है.
अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी की कर्नाटक की सरकार ने गारंटी दी है, अगर ये कहा है कि हमारी केंद्र में सरकार आने के बाद हम फलाना करेंगे, तो ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. हमारी सरकार जब केंद्र में आएगी तो ये सब गारंटी पूरी हो जाएगी.
Even as the political balancing act continues, calls for discontinuation of the guarantee schemes in the state has been strongly opposed, and now party MLC Dinesh Goligowda and a few others are urging the top brass to really contain such statements. Now, whether such a whip will really be issued, an informal one at least, is the question that really comes up. But some of them are saying, well, we are speaking our mind because we fought an election. We understand what exactly has happened. Now, joining me today, M Lakshamana. He is a senior Congress leader, also, of course, who recently fought from the Mysuru Kodagu Lok Sabha constituency. So I'm going to go straight across to him because he, of course, made the statement and probably, having contested that constituency, understands the issues really that the people had. What are the issues based on which the people voted as well? Mr. Lakshmana, what are your apprehensions? If you could firstly, give us more clarity on the same.
No, I see very recently held press meet, I made it very clear for myself on behalf of my candidature, not on behalf of the party. I only said, many schemes which we have given, that's 5 schemes out of which, for example, if we take 200 units electricity free, that is given to everyone. People, those who are using up to 200 units, are being exempted. 0 bill is coming. They are not interested. Some of them, they say that we don't want. So their RR number is automatically been linked to the computer generated bills, and they are getting only 0. And my apprehension and my demand and my request with Chief Minister is to re-look into it. Please give the guarantee schemes to the people, those who are really in need. Person who is having 25 lakhs worth
you're talking
of
about
car,
the need and give it to the people who need it. Now, this is something that, the Congress should have spoken about, much earlier and also thought about before actually giving out these schemes. Now, we come to that aspect of whether the schemes are reaching the right people, whether it's, aimed at one particular populace and it's reaching another. Before that, you have also, or rather the Congress has time and again spoken about how they've given these guarantees, delivered on their promises, and therefore the people should repose faith in them. Do you feel that has happened this time?
No, see, at the time of giving this in the manifesto, we never made this ad sticks. We never put some conditions that only these people are eligible, those people are not eligible. Like only after winning elections, we just thought, let everybody who uses 200 unit, below 200 unit, can be given. And even bus traveling is also given to everyone. People, those who are drawing more than 2 lakh salary, if they want to go to another neighboring districts, they usually earlier they used to go by their own car or their own vehicle. Now they are coming and parking at some places and they travel and come back. So these guarantees were not given in the interest of only garnering the vote. They were given only to uplift the the economically weaker sections. So that is not happening. That is what I have found out during my election campaign. Many people, even including BJP, the BJP cadre, BJP leaders, right from day one, even during election, they started saying that, by giving guarantee scheme, you are making the people of this state as this lazy, very laziness like. So this guarantee scheme should be diverted into developmental work. So people have voted.
But Mr. Lakshman, as far as the free electricity is concerned, like you yourself mentioned, the manifesto does not say that this is for BPL or anybody like that. Yeah, it is clearly you had said for everybody. And now when people are getting it, it should have been advantage Congress. But you are instead saying it's making the people lazy.
One second. I am now requesting our Honorable Chief Minister to relook into it. I never said it completely. It should be stopped. And people, those who are in need, should be given. Those who do say that I don't want, why do you want to give? That is what my demand. I don't
Why
say
should
that
it be relooked into, Mr. Lakshman, according to you? Why should it be relooked into? Why should it be relooked into, according to you?
I am telling you, people, those who are having enough money, they can pay. What is the problem? That should be given only to the people, those who are in need, not for everybody. Even I am getting free electricity. I am getting only 0 bill. My RR number is completely linked to this computer generated bills. So I am getting 0 bill for the last 12 months. So this should be avoided. I don't require. I am ready to pay my bill. 2,000 rupees, which is coming every month, 2,000, 3,000 rupees has to be paid. That money can be utilized for some other purpose. That is what my demand. That's what my request only with the Honorable Chief Minister. I never said
about 13,000 crores is being spent. Mr. Lakshmana, about 13,000 crores is being spent. Do you feel that now the point that you're making, some of the Congress leaders haven't thought about it now up until now, or they thought that let's continue to do it. Though it may bleed the exchequer, though it may make people lazy, though people who don't need it may enjoy it, but maybe they will vote for the Congress party. Was that the thought process before Lok Sabha?
So I never said in my statements during my press conference that people, those who not voted, should not be given.
I'm not telling you it's your statement, Mr. Lakshmana, but I am asking you, when you are raising concerns that you spoke to multiple people in your constituency, or you're saying that people who don't probably deserve it or don't need it are enjoying this benefit, and that's why the Chief Minister should consider it. I'm saying when you're spending about 13,000 crores on this particular scheme, why wasn't this thought about earlier? It's not as if this is, rocket science and people have understood it now. This is something that people have understood, that many people who probably don't need it are enjoying this particular benefit.
Before announced, there was no handstick. Only BPL people, were eligible to claim this. That's what people were thinking so. After these elections were over, we never said that everyone is going to get this free electricity. Everyone is going to get this bus free like that. So we thought, needy people should be given. That is what now I am requesting our Honorable Chief Minister to relook into it and see that needy people should be given. And people, those who are not in need, why do you want to give? That is only my request. I never said
fair point. I think many people would agree with the point that you're making. Many people would agree with the point that you're making, Mr. Lakshmana, but many people will then raise this question. And this is something that the BJP has been pointing out in the past, that, reasoning may come out. The Congress may suddenly stop the some of the guarantees after the Lok Sabha. This is something that we heard time and again. Do you feel that your statement coming after the Lok Sabha election is probably, giving rise to more such speculation that was the guarantee and the schemes all about the elections for the Congress party?
My statement did not come after the elections. Early, before elections also, I conducted a press meet and I made it my statement very clear that it should be given only to the needy people and it should not be given to everyone. That is what I stick to my words even now, even tomorrow also. I continue to stick for my words. So my demand is, that whatever the amount.
Well, but Mr. Lakshmana, even during your campaign, didn't your Congress workers bank on the guarantees to campaign for you?
No, that's what guarantee schemes, should not be stopped. It's what even now I am telling you to the general public and to people of Karnataka, guarantee schemes are not going to be stopped at all. It should be reviewed. It should be reviewed what are the lacunas. Many people, those who are there in the foreign countries are trying this. People, those who are there in other countries are also dying. People, those who are there in other states are also trying. People, those who are working as doctor, engineers are also trying. Because their house is here and given for rent.
But why is this being thought about now? Mr. Lakshmana, please try and explain to our viewers. You have this thought right now. Are you telling us that this thought hasn't occurred to any of your senior leaders for over a year now?
No.
When they decided that they'll implement these guarantees in its entirety, or were there? Were they waiting for Lok Sabha election so that even though everyone enjoys it, people who don't need it, the taxpayers' money is used, and then because it didn't work that well for the Congress party, now you will say, these people don't deserve it and we are just giving it away, and now the Chief Minister should really think about these guarantees?
Why are you interlinked with this, my election results? Please don't interlink with the election result. This is only
it's not your election result, Mr. Lakshmana. It's not yours at all. It's not yours at all. It is many. Mr. Balakrishna has said something very similar. Okay, please continue. Please continue. I will allow you to speak, but you will also have to answer some of the questions I'm asking.
Sir, our intention we have found out only after executing this scheme, sir. Earlier, it was not difficult. It was not so easy for us to identify which is correct, which is not correct. After experimenting, after executing the works only, we were able to find out some of the things, which are in the lacuna that should be rectified. That is the job of the government. That is what I am telling the government to please do that. That money which is saved, can be given to or can be utilized for some other purpose, some other developmental works. That's what is wrong in that. I'm just asking you what is wrong in that. If you are capable of paying electricity bill,
I don't think there is anything wrong in that, Mr. Lakshmana. I agree with you. I agree with you that guarantee schemes, if it reaches the right people, it is very good. But there is a possibility that such schemes and that is being dispersed at such a large scale level can definitely fall into the hands of people who don't need it. And you yourself are saying, be it the Shakti scheme or be it, the free electricity scheme, the Griha Jyoti, all of this is being utilized by people who can afford to actually pay for those 200 units, and instead the government is paying. Now the question here is, why has the Congress party, now all that I'm not again blaming you that you've brought it up now. I'm saying, do you feel that the Congress leadership needs you to remind them of this very fact? Do you feel it took them a year? Do you think it was convenient for the Lok Sabha elections to get over?
No, it's not like that. I don't agree with that. That statement, please understand some of the experiments which we have done, officers are having all this data. And I'm just giving you one small example. Here, one of my friend, he has got one house where he used to get always more than 400, 500 units. He made that into ground floor separately, first floor separately, third floor separately, and made it separate RR number. He has interlinked to that where he used to get every RR number less than 200 units and he is getting exempted. Do you think that it's a genuine case to giving him exemption for this electricity? Like some there in one house,
okay,
they will make two.
Like I said, Mr. Lakshmana, again, we don't have to keep arguing because I agree with you. The people who are watching agree with you, Mr. Lakshmana. The only question that I'm asking is, why is the Congress leadership not thinking about this? Why do you have to remind them, and why has it taken a year? And that's why I asked you, was it because Lok Sabha elections were around the corner now? Now another colleague of yours says, Mr. Balakrishna. Now, Mr. Balakrishna, before Lok Sabha elections, had said, well, if you don't vote for the Congress party, the guarantees can stop. Now, after the results, he goes on to say that we go into elections with a weapon. We've realized that weapon hasn't worked for us, and he says that the guarantees haven't helped us. Now, after elections, we need to reconsider and look at our options. And this is up to the leadership, he says. And in the past as
Mr.
well, your MLAs have
Balakrishna-
said development should probably be the top focus.
Correct. No, see, Mr. Balakrishna must have said earlier to this election that, BJP people every day, even during election time, they were saying that by giving guarantee schemes to general public, you are making them very lazy and you are this treasury becomes empty and there is no money for developmental activities. So the people, have voted in their favor. That is whatever they were saying, it looks they have supported. So that what we are now thinking is whatever these opposition people were saying, we have to relook into it, and whoever is needy should be given, whoever is not in need of these schemes, should be removed. And instead of that, you increase some other level of that and give it to other people also. Why are you giving to the people, those who are really not in need? That is what my demand and our MLA's demand is also. Our Chief Minister has made it very, very clear when I met him personally, and he told me that no guarantee schemes will be stopped. I also told him, please don't stop. Only thing is, it should be reviewed. And whoever is whoever is in need, they should be given.
Okay, now you're saying that the guarantee should not be stopped overall, should be reviewed. Those who deserve it should be given. That means no longer the Shakti scheme should apply to people, as a blanket, application, or even the Griha Jyoti, people who are enjoying 200 units, whether they are from APL or BPL or people who can afford it. This is not something that should happen. There should be specific categories. That's exactly what you're saying.
Yes, sir. I am only opposing this Griha Jyoti, not Griha Lakshmi. Griha Lakshmi, 2,000 rupees, which we are giving, that goes to the poor people. Poor people, they are totally dependent on this 2,000 every month, which they receive.
Even the Shakti scheme also is applicable to everybody. There are many women who are traveling in the buses free of cost when they can afford it. And that too is a blanket, application.
Correct. Even that Shakti scheme also should be reviewed, and we have to give them pass. People, those who are really below poverty line.
Now the question here is, if you're thinking about review, Mr. Lakshman, I get your point. It's a very valid one. And, as a Congress, leader, for you to really come out and make these sort of statements, it takes some amount of courage. And I should really congratulate you for coming out and saying and speaking your mind in this matter, because many people in Karnataka actually think in this manner. Okay, now whether your top leadership in the state agrees with you or not, that's another debate, and we'll see that in the course of the next few months. But the question is, having these sort of apprehensions on the implementation, and you said it's a process that you learn and understand over few months, and you've understood it over the last 1 year about how it's been implemented and whether it's useful for the political party, and overall is it reaching the right amount of people. Now, keeping all of this happening at the background in Karnataka, the Congress at the center decided to make promises once again. 1 lakh for women. And you saw people lining up outside post offices, even after the election. Some of them in other states were outside Congress offices holding those guarantee cards. So going into another election with, some of the promises that you probably tried out didn't work out very well. You know that it's bleeding the exchequer. Development is taking a hit. Do you think that was the right way forward, Mr. Lakshmana?
Yeah, 1 lakh giving to a family, not for a woman, to a family head, and that too the people, those who are living in below poverty line. And the total number of poverty line people here in the entire country was calculated, and how much money is going to incur was also calculated. With that, finally we have come to conclusion that 1 lakh should be given every year, that is per year, for one family, that to below poverty line family. So that should be given, sir. We have to give and make them their economically poor condition to lift up. They have to leave, they have, in turn they are spending. We are not going to lose anything at all. We should give the money for them to spend and live a very dignified way in the life. Otherwise, people are dying. That is not happening in the BJP's government. Simply with some data saying that, this many people have come out of this poverty, out of poverty.
Okay, so you're saying that was devised in a planned manner. So you're saying at the center, the guarantees were devised in a more planned manner than in the state of Karnataka. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. I have seen that, actually they have derived the formula, and how they have planned to implement in case if India government would have come into the government.
Okay, Mr. Lakshman, another question before I let you go today is now there are review meetings that are happening of multiple constituencies, especially the Lok Sabha, where the Congress lost about what exactly needs to be done, what went wrong. In your review meet, if it happens, will you bring this issue up with the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister?
Definitely, I've already brought this issue before Chief Minister as well as Deputy Chief Minister and some of the leaders who are there from our constituency. And in future also, I'll continue to raise my voice. There's nothing wrong in that. What is wrong in that? I'm not saying anything against anti-party activities. I only say that it is in the interest of the government and the interest of the people. And people, those who are really in need, should be given. All these guarantee schemes. Those who are not need, should be completely removed, and we have to have a review.
Well, again, I agree with you, but the question that really comes up, Mr. Lakshmana, is the timing of you raising this, and because it seems or it reeks of convenience for the Congress to really say this after a Lok Sabha election and probably not think about it and spending these thousands of crores and not analyze it much earlier. It does not probably take 12 months to analyze it, Mr. Lakshmana. That's the only apprehension and concern that I have with you raising this at this point in time. But however you are raising it, let's of course see how the leadership takes your suggestion and whether they'll actually look into it and review it, because the top leadership really, whenever we heard any sort of statements, they don't seem to be in a mood to really review anything as of now. But I'm thanking you, Mr. Lakshmana, and wishing you the best for your political career ahead, and let's hope that whatever suggestions you're making is taken in the right stride by your own party. So, viewers, before going into the break, we were just speaking to Mr. Lakshmana, the Congress candidate from the Mysuru Kodagu Lok Sabha constituency, who's now flagged some concerns about the implementation of the Congress guarantees, whether it's actually reaching the right kind of people and whether it's a waste of money, whereas it could be used for the benefit of actually those who need it. Some of them believe that the Congress guarantees have not worked at all for them, and that's where they have seen some defeats electorally. So all of these questions are coming up after the Lok Sabha elections. Let me open this up. Anand Gurumurthy of the BJP with us, Lavanya Ballal of the Congress party, BS Arun, senior journalist, all of them are with us. I'll come to you, Lavanya, but before that, if Mr. Gurumurthy can hear me. Mr. Gurumurthy, you heard, I'm sure, Mr. Lakshmana speak there extensively, some of the concerns and apprehensions that he had. Some of them resonate with what the BJP, of course, has been mentioning, and this must really please you and give you some ammunition. But he made some valid points. He says that the guarantees are not going to stop. That's not what the Congress is saying. They're saying probably it needs to be reviewed as to who it actually needs to reach.
See, we have been very clear from the beginning. We are very clear that who needs it must get those benefits. Like, for example, today in the first cabinet meeting, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has announced 3 crore houses to the urban and the rural poor. Now, these are schemes, which are very necessary, and in a country like ours, which is going towards becoming a developed country, these are very much necessary to uplift people as fast as possible. It's not that, it is wrong to do any kind of work which, uplifts people. And BJP is very clear about it. All our schemes are like this. So we have been telling this and criticizing Congress for only 2 things. Number one is they don't plan it properly. They don't, have proper planning, and they don't explain to the people when a scheme is implemented as to how it will be given and who will be the beneficiary. This is very important. Only for electoral gains they do that. Okay. And the second thing is implementation. When it comes to implementation, Congress always does this. Okay, they just go and give a kind of a competitive mode for people. Who gets it. Who doesn't get it, doesn't get it. So this is the way Congress has done, either with gas cylinders in the 80s, 90s, telephones, and always. Congress has this habit of, making people fight for resources. So this is what BJP has criticized. Number one, plan properly. Number 2 is, implement it properly. And that Congress has not done. Their own, MP contestant has clearly come out with the, words that he has chosen are really good. Now, Congress Chief Minister Mr. Siddaramaiah must hear this. It is a failure that he is, implemented such scheme. He has to resign and, get out of the office because he has just wasted taxpayers' money as CM of Karnataka this time.
Okay, Lavanya, would you want to respond to that wastage of taxpayers' money up until now? But there's some things that really you need to answer here, Lavanya, as Mr. Lakshman points out some valid points. The question here is, is it a year too late for you to realize these aspects, or was it because, that's something that Mr. Lakshman didn't really answer, as you heard, that whether it's convenient for the Congress party after the Lok Sabha results to come out and, point out these errors or somewhere these findings that they have after a year of giving these guarantees?
Good evening, Deepak. Let me make it very clear. These are personal observations and comments made by Mr. Lakshman. It is not the party stand. Let me make it very clear. Mr. Lakshman, I wish he was still around in the debate and he had not dropped out of the debate, because I would like to, with all due respect to a very senior leader like Lakshman from my own party, I would like to remind him. He talks about how welfare schemes are misused. Welfare schemes run on a trust factor as well. A lot of people, like, my parents, for example, did not avail the Graha Jyoti scheme at all because they felt there's no need for them to avail that. A lot of people should not have availed the Graha Jyoti scheme if they were capable of paying those, Graha
Come on,
Jyoti
Lavanya.
bills.
Now, that is not
bills.
an argument that we are going to have.
Listen,
You can't put the onus on the
Deepak.
people to take the righteous
Deepak,
stand here when the Congress
Deepak,
government is saying, well, this is for everybody. At the
Deepak.
end of the day, people are paying their taxes, and if something that they can get back from the government, they are going to. You can't ask people to take the moral high ground here and say, well, we are well off and we don't want the guarantee.
Deepak, if I may finish my sentence, please. Please
You can, but don't put the onus on the people here.
Let me finish my sentence.
100% I will let you finish, but don't put the onus on the people here.
Do you want me to speak?
Go ahead,
you
go ahead.
Please
Please
go ahead.
Go ahead, Lavanya. Go
I
ahead.
only request the courtesy of not interrupting me. Now I'm saying that could be one of the options when Mr. Lakshman blames people. It is not fair of him to say, hey, you know what, people who do not want this or do not have the necessity of availing this have availed this. It is not fair to say that. We did not make any distinction. We said we are going to give you 200 units of power free. Please make use of that. And now when people are using it, it is not fair of somebody to come up and say, hey, you know what, he can afford to pay the bill, but he's not paying it, but he's making use of this. This is not a fair distinction to make from Mr. Lakshman's part. Now, when he's also talking about the Shakti scheme, we have seen just today, there was a report about Shakti scheme and the revenues that Shakti scheme has been generating. Mr. Lakshman comes from a very myopic point of view when he says, a lot of women do not need this scheme. It is not about who needs it. It is not a scheme meant only for the underprivileged women. This scheme was meant for all the women of Karnataka state. This scheme was meant to reduce the number of two-wheelers on the road. This scheme was meant to help women to be more mobile and reclaiming public spaces. So when Mr. Lakshman says, hey, I don't think these people need it, I don't think he should make that distinction. Yes, it is his personal, observations from his own election. He says, I think they also need to look into other issues as to why, if there has been an electoral failure, why there has been an electoral failure for all of these candidates. Let me make it very clear. Yes, they can ask for a review with the CM. It is their right. It is every citizen's right to ask for a review of all the social welfare schemes. Even when, Annabhagya scheme was going on, the BJP had said it makes the people lazy. But they will never say that when they say Prime Minister Narendra Modi is giving 80 crore people free ration every month. They will never say it makes people lazy. Or they will never say how their promise of 500 rupees gas in Rajasthan was their assembly promise and they have still not implemented it in Rajasthan. Is not something that the BJP will tell you why it has not been implemented. Or they will not talk about how Ujjala scheme, which was supposed to be a success, has been such a tremendous failure. Women got the first gas for free. After that, they haven't received the gas cylinders at all. Social welfare schemes is a must in India. India is a welfare state and we need social welfare schemes. So if some of the leaders feel, hey, some privileged person is misusing it, yes, there is a percentage of people who may not need it, but may use it. But for that sake, just because of small percentages using it, we should not deny the people who are in need of these welfare schemes. And let me make it very...
Okay, but Lavanya, but you cannot completely dismiss
Can I come
you
in?
know, what he said, what Mr. Balakrishna has been saying, there are some genuine concerns that they're raising. And one thing that I would want to really say is you are putting the onus on the people. The people shouldn't be the ones who are saying that, well,
I am not
whether
putting the
we
onus on
deserve this or
people.
not. When the
Deepak,
government is
I
saying
am not
that you
putting
all
the
can...
onus on people.
No, you did
I am
say
not
that in
putting
your family, the people have decided not to take, the guarantee, one of the guarantees because they can afford it. Everyone don't need to choose.
You're misconstruing my
Yeah.
statements, Deepak. You're misconstruing my statements. All I meant to say was, it is a choice people have. But if
No,
people
we can
make
go
use of
back
it,
and hear
it's
what
not
you said,
fair of us
Lavanya.
to
I'm not
blame them.
misconstruing anything.
Let me make it very clear. Deepak, you seem to have a problem with, understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying if people can afford to not use it, and if they're still using it, we shouldn't be blaming them. I am making it very clear. If people are making use of these facilities, good for them. We should not be blaming anybody for that. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Deepak, I have a word to say.
I hope I make
Okay,
it make
you're
myself
saying don't
very
blame
clear.
anybody.
There is no.
Okay,
I'm
Mr.
not
Gurumurthy
putting
wants
any
to come
onus
in.
on the
Mr.
people.
Gurumurthy wants to come in.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
my last statement in whatever I
Gurumurthy.
spoke. Under 1 minute I spoke one statement, which is very important. See, Congress always has been careless in doing things, and that's why our country suffered for 70 years. And they are really not ready to accept and change themselves. If you see the statements given by the Congress spokesperson and their leader, you clearly say that they're not ready to accept that taxpayers' money is getting wasted. The same money can be used to improve the electricity grid. The same money can be used to improve the, where people are, misusing this. The same money can be used to improve the bus survey.
So you're blaming the citizens. You're blaming the citizens.
But Lavanya Balal has to talk about blaming citizens, or always has to talk about always has to put.
You're blaming citizens for making use of this, sir.
What do you mean by waste of tax money? Lavanya, can you hear me? I heard you out for 3-4 minutes, continuously talking the same thing.
Okay, I think the point that Lavanya that he's trying to make is, on one hand, some of your leaders, not one, but many of them have spoken about how probably instead of the guarantees, development should be a focus. They're talking about guarantees not helping them electorally. They're talking about some of the guarantees which are not well thought of, because it should uplift the people, it should reach the people who are in need, but it is being enjoyed by people who don't need it. These are some of the aspects and why all of this contemplation is going on. One second, Mr. Murthy, let's have Lavanya respond. 13,000 crore for Griha Jyoti alone that is being spent.
30 seconds.
Okay, Mr. Gurumurthy.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, please take it up.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question, Deepak?
Okay, let Mr. Gurumurthy complete what he wants to say, and then I'll add to that. Mr. Gurumurthy, please go ahead.
Basically, even the RTE scheme, okay, the same thing they have done. They have not, ensured that the real needy gets it. Wherever you see Congress putting in laws or executing something, they always ensure that the taxpayers money gets wasted, and that money is redirected for electoral purposes. We have been accusing them, and they say they'll say that is the way we do it, and don't blame people for it. So these people are actually, trying to pull back the country backwards. Okay, and they are not ready to accept their mistakes and do corrective
Okay, Mr. Gurumurthy. Okay, got your point. Got your point. Lavanya, two aspects that I want you to answer on. One is your own leaders seem to believe otherwise as far as the guarantees are concerned. And while this, speculation and, really contemplation is going on in the last 12 months about how to really implement this, whether it should be implemented in the way that it was thought of initially, or now like some of your leaders are suggesting reviewing it, whether it should be stopped. The question, while all of this is happening, is there enough planning that has gone about to use this huge amount of money from the exchequer, which of course the taxpayers pay for?
Deepak, yes, there was planned. It was a planned decision to ensure that the taxpayers' money reaches the taxpayer once again, and it was planned. And you asked about Mr. Lakshman's timings. I cannot answer for Lakshman why he has raised this question. Like I told you already, if there has been an electoral failure, then people need to look at why there was an electoral failure in their particular constituencies and not come up with the easiest excuse.
Mr. Balakrishna has raised it as well. He's not contested this time.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Balakrishna, one of your MLAs, has raised this as well, Lavanya.
Yes, I understand.
I'm talking about Lakshman, I'm talking about Mr. H.C. Balakrishna.
Balakrishna is...
and before as well, people have spoken against some of the guarantees.
And
There is
also,
a certain
one thing
set
they have
of
to
people
understand.
who have
For-
raised questions about the guarantee schemes. All right, yes. I'm not saying they have not. I'm saying it is their personal opinion. It is not the opinion of the party. Party has planned very well as to how to make sure the taxpayers' money reaches the taxpayer. When the BJP says we do not, implement it, we do not make sure it reaches the people. What did the BJP do? When the Congress was in power, the previous Siddaramaiah government ensured we have the world's biggest solar energy park in Karnataka. What did the BJP
come on,
government
Lavanya,
add
stop
on to
talking
it?
about all
Nothing.
that.
When they talk
tell us
about
why it is
multiple
7 rupees,
programs,
why
when
it
they're
is 7
talking about
rupees in
welfare
Karnataka?
schemes,
1
now
unit
they
of
do not
electricity
tell
is
us.
7 rupees.
Now they do
Lavanya.
not tell us how the
No,
Ujjwala scheme of the BJP was a
You talk
failure.
about
Are they saying
all
that they
things which
didn't have
are
a plan in
unnecessary
place?
and
Okay,
irrelevant
When
in
they
this
ensured
let her
that the
please
Ujjwala
complete.
scheme went.
Let her
Completely
complete, Mr. Gurumurthy. Let's not talk over
point
each
you're
other
putting
because
across. Why-
you will not be able to
No,
understand
Deepak,
anyone if that happens.
Deepak,
Let her
1 minute,
complete what
Deepak,
she's
1
saying.
minute. No, 1 minute.
Let her
Electricity is
complete. I'll
7
come back to you,
rupees per
Mr.
unit.
Gurumurthy. You can
Okay, for
counter what
people.
she's saying, but you can't talk
No,
over her
why-
because
why
that makes
is
no
she
sense
talking
and
about
nobody can
irrelevant things?
understand. So
Because
let
you
her
are allowing
complete.
her to speak. No, you are allowing her to see. This is the habit of every Congress spokesperson. Without any
No, I'm allowing you
pointless
as well
debate
to
they
speak,
do,
Mr.
and for
Gurumurthy.
each of 10
You
minutes,
can counter what she's
they
saying.
PR time.
You
They
can
are
counter
just
what
PR
she's saying. Let her
No,
complete.
wait a minute, Deepak. They are
Okay,
just doing PR work here.
okay, let's take a break from the politics. Let me bring in Mr. B.S. Arun. He's been a mute spectator to a lot being said over the last 40 minutes about this. Mr. B.S. Arun, how do you really see this? The statements that are coming in from the Congress leaders now asking for review after 12 months. Convenient. Lok Sabha elections over. Now you can review the guarantees.
But first of all, I'm exhausted. 45 minutes I'm sitting here without speaking a word. Anyway, this Mr. Balakrishna, the MLA, he first spoke about this in January this year. So there was one MLA speaking about this, saying that, this should be reviewed 6 months ago. And then after the elections, Lakshmana, Balakrishna again, and one more MLA, Iqbal Hussain. So they all spoke about this. They all demanded that this be reviewed. So now Congress MLAs have said this, and BJP had been saying for ever since Congress made the announcement last year before the Assembly elections about the guarantees. So now I'm sure the government will not take this into cognizance, and if at all, they will say already 2 ministers have said this, Mr. Home Minister Parmeshwar and Satish Jakioli. They have said that there will be no review of this. But then the issue is, as Lakshman pointed out, and I agree to at least one point that he has made, and that is about the Graha Jyoti scheme. He said automatically the RR numbers are connected to the electricity offices, and this scheme gets linked. So even if I don't want, I get this benefit. Even if I don't want, if I'm a person who can afford to pay, and even then, I will be given this benefit of this guarantee scheme. So for those who can, who are not the needy people, why should this be applicable? I just can't understand this. I'm not against the guarantee scheme. Let me make it very clear. But I'm against those, again, this being extended to those who are ready to pay. I think the state government must review this, immediately, whether it's for elections or not. We all know that this part of it at least has been made with elections in view. Now that the elections are over, I think this should be reviewed. So this is my point, Deepak. I'll come to 1 or 2 points made by the other panelists. One about the elections. See, Congress has increased its vote share remarkably from 31.5% of 2019 to 45.5% in this Lok Sabha election. It's a huge jump of 14%. Very rarely political parties see this jump, but Congress has seen this jump. And number 2, Congress got 42.88 in the Assembly elections last year. And in one year itself, the percentage of vote share has gone up by more than 3%. This is also a very significant thing.
Do you think that's because of the guarantees?
Should this be
Mr. Arun, do you feel it's because of the guarantees?
The guarantees is it was not a referendum for guarantees, I agree. But then certainly one of the reasons why this vote share jumped up, I think, could be because of the guarantees. There are many others. See, Assembly elections, there are many other issues. The corruption issue was raised. the arrogance of the BJP leaders, the administration had come to a halt on many issues. So all those things were there, and besides that, huge, the campaign, very good campaign carried out by the Congress. Their MLAs were their candidates were announced much earlier compared to BJP. There were a lot of internal problems for the BJP, which Congress did not have. But when it comes to Lok Sabha elections, again, let me point out that, although guarantee was one of the issues, there are many other issues for both the parties. Both the parties had internal troubles. The Congress announced many of its candidates very late.
Right, you're saying various
BJP
other
had,
factors really
I
made
think
a difference as far as elections are concerned. But nonetheless, Mr. Arun, right now, the Congress leaders themselves have really opened this debate up. Because this was something that was being said by the BJP in the past, that, well, Lok Sabha could be the point where the guarantees end. And if the Congress loses, their guarantees as well will go away. This is also something that they have been speaking about. But right now, with some of the Congress leaders asking for a review, will it actually be reviewed? And if it is reviewed, is it going to be good for the state in terms of whether it will help in actually using that money in a more efficient manner? Or do you go by the Congress's principle of saying, well, empowering people, giving them these schemes, whether they need it or not, helps them increase their value of expenditure. They go out there, spend more, which again comes back into the economy. The state is thriving. So there are many ways to look at it. But the Congress leaders themselves, like I mentioned, have opened up this debate once again. Let's see where it leads in the coming days. I'm thanking all our panelists for joining us today. It's been an interesting debate. This is a topic, of course, that's expected to come up once again in the next few weeks.